So the last race of the morning session, and it's the Silver Goblets, the pairs event. As you can see, two men, they only have one blade each, so we call this rowing rather than sculling. If it was two, they'd be double sculls. So two boats, pardon me, on the right-hand side on the Buckinghamshire station is Todd and Kempsell, Will Todd and Dave Kempsell, and look at that. The Lady Rahisa Boat Club steering right over towards the Sons of the Thames crew in blue on the left-hand side of your screen on the Berkshire station, and that's a dramatic kink, isn't it, Kath? Yeah,
and they actually put the other crew off, who then responded and went further away as well. I mean, it is tough in a pair. You've got a rudder attached to your foot. There's a nervousness about hitting these booms, which in a pair would do serious damage. And of course, when you're on the side by the island, your instinct is to not hit the island, to steer away. But it shows perhaps a little bit of a lack of experience in these crews, and it's tough out there when you're steering and in a big race like this.
And of course, Kath Bishop, being an Olympic silver medalist in pairs, knows exactly what she's talking about. Who steered your pair, Kath? Was it?
Yeah, I steered, yeah. And it's very much when you're on a 6-lane straight course that it's usual that the straight person will steer, because you can look down behind you and line up on the line of the straight course behind you, as it were. And when you're training on the river and you're going around bends, then it's usually the bow person that has the rudder attached to their foot, and so they're looking behind them a lot of the time to make sure they can steer and not hit anything.
So we're getting, we've got a great shot there of the river traffic that negotiates this reach, and of course it's not like those boats and the umpire's launch don't leave any washes or wakes, and in a pair that's quite a sensitive boat for all the ripples on this Henley course. And I'll just ask you that in a second. Well, let's give a name check. Closest to us in the Upper Thames pair is Mirko Brinker, and then furthest away from him is his partner P.J.R. Reynolds. And well, those in the rowing scene will know that this Sons of the Thames pair have been competing together for the last couple of years at local events. This is a step up to the big time, and as far as they go, if they do get successful in this race, Kath, do you know they're going to race tomorrow? The world silver medalists.
Wow.
James Fode and Matt Langridge, because they await them. They've got to buy their British silver medal pair from the World Championships, and so the prize is a race against Fode and Langridge, which I'd quite fancy myself, but I'm sure these Sons of the Thames pair will really look forward to that. It's actually Mirko Brinker, the bowman's last year in competition, and that'll be a hell of a send-off, and they do look to have dominated their race against the old boys from Bedford Modern School, the Lady Rahisa Boat Club. They're just coming into shot now. That is an ocean of clear water. So, Kath, I was asking you about the ripples on the water and what you might feel in a boat like a coxless pair.
I think it's definitely the hardest boat class to row on in the regatta at Henley, because although it's not rough water in the sense of the weather and the wind isn't strong, there is a constant liveliness to the water. It's constantly changing, as there are a lot of cruisers, there are engines as people are going sort of up and down on the other side, and there is just a constant ripple that means it's very hard to balance the boats. And of course the pair is the slowest moving boat other than a single scull, but in a single scull you have control of both the oars, so it's often easier to adjust, whereas here it's like having a tightrope walker's pole that's split between two people. You're sitting one behind each other, and you've got to respond exactly together to make sure you stay balanced in between the strokes to set yourself up to apply the power.
So if you're new to this sport and you're looking at the fantastic view down the Henley course, the packed Stewards enclosure grandstands on your left, Henley Church framed in the centre, and the wooden booms of the course leading down to the finish, you just heard that rowing this pair is like walking a tightrope. I'm imagining stretched between two high skyscrapers and trying to balance, and that's what these two men, Mirko Brinker and P.J.R. Reynolds, are doing to great effect, and they are well drilled, aren't they? I mean, they're moving their boat really fluidly.
They are. They're doing a really good job, both technically, the rhythm is looking good, the smoothness, and they've got that boat balanced. So it's working, and it's just going above the roughness and the ripple on the water, and that's the trick. You want to be floating above it and not somehow getting bogged down within the roughness of the water, which you can see is happening a little bit in the boat behind. It's just going at a slightly slower speed, and so they're just wobbling around a bit more.
course, this Sons of the Thames crew, coached by Sam Haita, and there's the Lady Rohisha crew in the, well, they're in the foreground of the shot. The background, as far as the Sons of the Thames are concerned, the famous spreading eagle of Bedford Modern School on their red singlets. The Sons of the Thames are taking the applause, the pre-lunch applause. The crowds will go in for their lunch after this, and there will be a break in the racing. But Sons of the Thames have been determined to put on a good show here. They'll want to warm up for that race against Foden Langridge, won't they?
Yeah, they've had a great race. They'll give them lots of confidence. They've tested out their race plan. They've tested out what it feels like on the water, what it feels to steer off the start. All those things, they've done that now. They've got that under the belt. And tomorrow they just give it a go and see what they can do.
So those races, senior pairs at Hammersmith Regatta and the Wallingford Regatta, where they came fourth in elite pairs, all those races that you've done this season, Sons of the Thames, that's stood you in good stead. An easily verdict, and in rowing easily means that it's probably over 5 or 6 lengths of clear water. They've had an easy verdict over this crew from the Lady Rohisha Boat Club, the Bedford Modern Old Boys, who put a game sprint into the finish, and they crossed the line there. And the two men, Mirko Brinker and Pete Reynolds, congratulate themselves. They will look forward to tomorrow against the world silver medalists.